Hi, Moira, this is your brother. So, let's start with the basics again. You're a psychopath. I am not. I'm a lawyer. You are not. I'm a lawyer who passed the bar in 3 states and has 5 years' experience as a prosecutor, and you are not. I have a post-baccalaureate undergraduate background in life sciences, and you do not. I have a modest academic background, also past baccalaureate undergraduate in psychology, and you do not. You're not even a legitimate college graduate as far as I can tell, Mara. You're just a con artist and a graduate of Fayetteville Manly's High School who's an Ayn Randian objectivist and thinks everything is bullshit. So, the subject of this video is the fact that you're probably a Chinese spy. You're probably spying for the Chinese. Ni hao, xie xie. Ni hao, xie xie. Shangguo. Bezwit. Anyways, that's my terrible Chinese. It's everything I know how to say in Chinese. Where do we start? Let's start with the fact that you definitely met with 2 people who are obviously still assets of the FSB, Zoltan and Ava, in the summer of 2023, when I was being chased around by the Dartmouth PD and stalked by God knows who else. And everyone in Dartmouth, Mass. Thought I was a pedophile, and I was not. And Mom and you indicated to me that you had traveled to Germany. And I believe the Czech Republic. And you called, I was getting sushi. We had traveled to Newton we traveled to the Boston area from Dartmouth just because mom and dad had doctor's appointments. One of the 2 of them had doctor's appointments. And I was getting sushi, and you called Mom on her cell phone, and you said from Europe, allegedly. You lie a lot. You guys deceive me a lot, but you said you were calling from Europe. And you said, I got to, and I believe it was the Czech Republic, and you said, my hotel does not exist. You said twice, my hotel does not exist. I got here, I found out my hotel does not exist. I don't know what that means. Anyway, so assuming for sake of argument you weren't lying, you met with 2 people who were obviously FSB assets in the summer of 2023. I've recovered it in prior videos how Zoltan and Ava are obviously still FSB assets because they were Hungarian in the 80s, communist, yada, yada, yada. They got out of Hungary in the 80s. Zoltan's mommy was a member of the Hungarian Communist Party. They were obviously working for the KGB when they got out of Hungary. That's the only way to get out of Hungary in the 80s. And, so, how does this relate to and there's Veronique Dubin, who lived in the red light district in Lüneburg, Germany, who thought it was very French. Oh, oui, oui, we're crazy people. She has to live in the red light district. Veronique Dubin. And then there's, this is your connections to the French. There's Tina Ottaviano. Boran, whatever. She's living in Washington now. That's right. Tina Ottaviano, the socialist who didn't shave her armpits and didn't shower in the 80s and thought Americans were stupid, who moved to France at the age of right after she got out of Carnegie Mellon and became a French citizen and is married to a Frenchman and is living in Washington now. Isn't that funny? Is she DGSE, Moira? Is Tina Ottaviano Department General DGSE? What does that stand for? Department General Sécurité. Department General Sécurité. Is she DGSE, Moira? Anyways, yeah, you're a mess, Moira. But here's the thing. Your connection, you see, there's an aphorism I read in either The Art of Intelligence by Hank Crumpton or in maybe it was in John Kiriaku's book or in Ishmael Jones's book. When a traitor, that's you, Moira, probably, when a traitor spies for too many different foreign countries, they get caught. So if you've been spying for the French and the British and the Germans, because you lived in Germany, and the Chinese, well, that might have been why you got caught. So let's go over your addresses before I run out of time here. Your addresses tell a lot of this story. Where you lived. I just did a public record search. Yeah, this is how hard it is to catch a spy. All you got to use is a public record search of where they lived and where they worked. It's that difficult, FBI, you fucking imbeciles. Moira, we've established that you're a psychopath. We've established that you're a con artist that doesn't even have a legitimate college degree. We've established that you have had contact in 2023 with two people who are obviously still FSB assets. Now, you lived at 120, is it? You lived on Kingston Street in Boston. Kingston! Hey, ja, man, you lived on Kingston Street. Don't be Irie, man. You lived on Kingston Street. Yeah, you lived on Kingston Street, which is right across the street from Chinatown. And in 2015, when this madness all went down, right before you and Mom said, a couple months before you and Mom informed me that I had been successfully framed for espionage, treason, and being a pedophile in many different ways, both direct and indirect. I was at your apartment babysitting Liam on Kingston Street. I believe it's what is it 120 or 170 Kingston Street? It's right. It's a very nice apartment building right across the street from Chinatown, and it was on like the 12th floor, I think, or the 7th, whatever. It's high up, and I was standing there with about to eat some Shake Shack hamburgers and fries, a milkshake, and was that no, it was before that. You were there. It was earlier in the summer, and you were in the process of your divorce from Larry. And I was looking at a warehouse across the street from Kingston Street, or down the street from Kingston Street, that's in Chinatown. And there was a white flashing light coming from a warehouse in Chinatown, bounced in, and it was pointed at your window. And knowing what I know about the 80s and how things worked in the 80s, that little flashing light was probably what's called a laser microphone. So I think it's known as a Michelson laser interference laser interferometer or something like that. It's a laser mic that detects the sound waves. You see the sound waves from your voice, the pressure waves created by the air passing through your vocal cords. That's how sound works. It creates pressure waves in the air. Those pressure waves vibrate windows a little bit. And if you bounce a very sensitive laser off the windows, it's a bug. So your address on Kingston Street was right near Chinatown in Boston. But here's the other thing. You lived within line of sight of Chinatown in Boston. You also lived at 88 Leonard Street, New York, New York. Guess what's within line of sight of 88 Leonard Street, New York, New York? That's right, Chinatown in New York. You lived within line of sight of two Chinatowns. Moira. And you told your brother he had been successfully framed for treason and espionage. Moira. And the Greek mobsters across the street who killed my cats and have, called the police on me and told me, done various other things around the property. Yeah, I feel very threatened by them. The ones who obviously framed Jeffrey N. Berman for being the Green Line Groper. They also run, probably, I'm almost certain, they run a protection racket on trafficked Asian prostitutes from communist countries, Moira. So you're conspiring with Greek mobsters, obviously, to steal $20 million in inheritance, with Greek mobsters who routinely traffic in women from Vietnam and China, which are communist countries. And I've seen the trafficked Asian prostitutes coming and going from 1 Fairview Street, because their hacker, I believe, works there. You lived within line of sight of Chinatown in New York and Boston, and I saw a flashing light from a window in a warehouse, which was obviously, I don't know if obviously, was almost certainly or probably a laser microphone bouncing off your window at your apartment on Kingston Street in Boston. Moira, you're in trouble. Oh, and you lived 1.7 miles away from George Forster Colony in Cambridge. I found my thrill on Strawberry Hill. George Forster Colony lived on Strawberry Hill Road, and you lived on a Nurseck Hill Road. You could have walked. You were coming home late all the time, home to me and Larry on Nurseck Hill Road, and you probably sweating up the sheets with George Forster Colony right before you came home to your family. Larry, you're in trouble.